Hello, my name is Paula Olivarez, and today I'm going to give my persuasive speech. For my audience, I have my mom, my grandma, and my husband is the cameraman today. So, today I'm going to talk about a very sensitive topic. I'm going to talk about babies. So, I'd like to say I'm an expert because I had a child myself, and she has turned out great so far by the decisions I have made for her. And one of the biggest decisions I made for her was to really be in control of what she was consuming, what she was eating, what she was taking in. And so for the first few months of her life, she was being nourished. I was nursing her. And then it was time to introduce solids, and that is when I had to do a little bit more research. In the beginnings, many doctors will tell you, like my doctor, Dr. Keith Horner, would recommend that babies are nursed compared to getting formula, but there's some times where that's not always the case. And when it was time for her to have solid foods, he also recommended to me that I should home make her food. And this really took me by surprise because there's so many different options out there, such as like pre-made baby food. There's Gerber's, there's organics, and there's some that have started coming up online that will get sent directly to your house. And the more I looked into this, the more curious I got with it. And the very first thing I remember that I was taken back by was the shelf life. And with that, I remember going to Target with my husband and looking at a jar of baby food, and it had a shelf life of 2 years. I don't know about you, but I don't know how bananas can sit on the shelf for 2 years and not go bad. There's no bacteria grown in it. There's no, all the nutrients are still intact. I didn't understand that. And so that's when I started doing my research about it and realized how bad pre-made baby food is. And so the first problem is ingredients. And so for example, with bananas, like a banana puree that's inside the Gerber's baby jar food, it's not just bananas in there. It's bananas, and it had added sugar, and there's other liquids in there, and there's different kind of chemicals in there to keep the bananas to have a longer shelf life. And that's the first problem, is that there's so many extra added things in there that your baby's not getting all the nutrients that the jar food is promising you. And my second issue with it, like I already said, was the shelf life. Bananas should not be able to last 2 years on a shelf. It's not possible. And it's that way because of all the preservatives that's inside of it. Like there's sometimes food coloring put in it to make it like the bananas have a more yellow look to it. Or with the broccoli, there's greens in it to make it look more than what it is. So that's my first problem. And I have 2 solutions for you today. The first solution is to obviously home make your baby food. It's not as difficult as it sounds. It's very, very easy. And most of us already have a food processor, a blender, a NutriBullet already in your home. And so you take your fruit, your vegetable, and with the vegetables, you need to bake them because it's kind of hard for your blender to mix it while it's hard, so it's best if you bake them because they get a little softer. And then you just pop it in your blender and you add your liquid. That can be bottled water, distilled water, or even baby water. And you just pour enough to your desired consistency. It's super easy. And that it ensures that your baby gets all the good stuff. If your baby's not getting any extra preservatives, it's not getting to have a longer shelf life, it's not getting food coloring, it's not having added sugars into it, it's just your fruit or your vegetable. That's my first solution. And when you home make your baby's food, you save so much money. If you start the very bottom, if you look at the very bottom of the totem pole, Gerber's is anywhere between $1 to $1.20 per jar. And I don't know many babies that get full off of one jar. And then there's other brands, and they can go all the way up to $3 for a jar. And if you think about it, your baby has breakfast, lunch, dinner, and at least 2 snacks a day. And you're spending, if you're trying to get the best of the best, you're spending what, $15 a day on baby food a day. That's so much money that's just being wasted, and your baby's not getting everything that he or she needs. Whereas if you go to HEB and you buy broccoli, carrots, or other vegetables, it's usually between 69 cents up to $1.23. Like, it's very cheap. And so I used to, I would bake sweet potato for my daughter, and I would bake it between 45 minutes to an hour. And then as soon as it cooled and it was soft enough for me to touch, I would throw it into my food processor, put my water in, blend it, and then I would have at least 8 ounces of sweet potato. And from there, I will then take the sweet potato and pour it inside of an ice tray. And then I would saran wrap it and let it cool down. And right before I went to bed is when I would freeze it. And I made so much more compared to just buying the baby food. I made so much more money. I saved so much more money. And then, like, going back to my first problem, like with the shelf life, when you make your own baby food, it can last up to 2 months in the freezer. 2 months in the freezer, and then you just defrost it when your baby's ready, and it can last 2 days inside the fridge. Yes, making your own baby food is very time consuming, but it enables you to know that your baby is getting exactly what he or she needs. So let's all make the switch today from prepackaged baby food over to homemade baby food.